Historical Remnants presents The Serpent Crown. The afternoon sun baked the sands outside the great city of Memphis as Ramesses returned from another victory against the Hittites. His chariot rolled through the gates, pulled by 4 triumphant stallions, as crowds packed the streets to catch a glimpse of their divine pharaoh. Garlands of lotus flowers were thrown at his feet in adoration. To the people, Ramesses was the embodiment of Horus on earth, a living god whose word was law. But in private moments he knew the truth. Beneath the opulent golden masks and thick black coal, he was only a man trying to right his kingdom after years of instability. And powerful rivals still lurked within Egypt's halls of power, waiting to strike at any sign of weakness. As was the custom, Ramesses went directly to the temple of Ptah to make offerings and pray for continued favor. He knelt before the god's immense granite statue, carved in man's likeness like the other deities. In the flickering lamplight, a shadow detached itself from a pillar. Great Pharaoh, a word if I may, spoke the high priest Amenhotep. The two retired to a private antechamber. The people celebrate your victory, but some among the nobles grow restless with your reforms, said Amenhotep gravely. They say you have grown too absolute, that Egypt needs a balance of authority once more. I come with a warning: there are whispers of a conspiracy brewing in distant Thebes. Ramesses frowned. Theban priests had long coveted more influence, chafing under years of Memphian dominance. I will send my vizier at once to investigate. See what birds can be flushed from the reeds, priest, before this conspiracy takes wing. That night, Ramesses lay awake pondering his kingdom's intrigues. Egypt had weathered too many upheavals in recent years. He was determined to forge lasting stability, even if it meant treading on sacred traditions. His musings were disturbed by soft footsteps approaching through the darkness. A young serving girl entered, dressed in a sheer yellow sheath that left little to the imagination. She bowed low before Ramesses' divan, revealing herself as the beautiful Becton. My pharaoh, allow this lowly handmaiden to soothe your cares away through the night. Her lips curved in a sultry smile that held promise of greater delights. Ramesses should have refused such temptation, given his station. But the stresses of rule wore heavy, and Becton's charms were undeniable. Their tryst lasted long into the moonlit hours, giving Ramesses the release he sorely needed. Yet even in passion's throes, a worm of unease turned in his gut. For Becton was no mere servant, but the niece of the high priest, come bearing deeper machinations than mere lust. Word came swiftly from Thebes of turmoil growing like bile in the temples. The priests were stirring sedition, threatening sacrilege if Ramesses did not yield more gold and authority. He rode at once with his personal guard, determined to quell rebellion before it blossomed fully. At Thebes' gates, a sea of pilgrims waving standards confronted the pharaoh. From their midst stepped the imposing form of priest Hesire, gilded masks scowling down from his regal features. Pharaoh, these faithful demand answers. Why do you shun Ma in your bid for dominion? Cede to us our due rights or face a people's wrath. The crowd took up the chant, baying for blood. Ramesses narrowed his eyes, hand resting on the pommel of his khopesh, ready to draw at the first threat. A tense standoff ensued, teetering on the knife's edge of violence. In the end, diplomatic words and a show of military strength convinced the seething mob to stand down. But Ramesses knew this was only the beginning. Rebellion seeds had taken root, and it would take drastic action to purge them. Returning to Memphis, Ramesses called his generals, and a secret conclave was held. Plans were laid to crush Thebes fully before insurrection could blossom anew. But first, the pharaoh had a score to settle close to home regarding certain faithless nobles and their honey-tongued pawns. That very night, soldiers stealthily surrounded the temple grounds and dragged a screaming Becton from her lust-filled dreams. Come dawn, she was crucified publicly in the central plaza alongside 3 implicated courtiers, their twisting corpses left as a stern reminder. The people were told rebellion had festered within the highest circles, and drastic measures were required to save Egypt. That evening, Ramesses donned his most fearsome golden war mask and led his army down the Nile towards Thebes, where a reckoning would be had in Ma'at's sacred name. No power on earth would deny Egypt her absolute pharaoh again, not while the serpent crown still sat upon his brow. The land would be cleansed in blood, and order restored through terror's iron fist. For the glory of Egypt. As we come to the conclusion of this historical remnant, and we gaze our eyes upon the horizon and foresee in the distance a million subscribers, we ask that you allow the spirits of the past to possess your historical fingers and like, comment, and subscribe.